Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be part 2 of getting dedicated circuits to my emergency lights and in the fire alarm panel. In the last video we left off with our box right here and our new conduit going to the fire alarm panel that I have not pulled wire yet, and my PVC pipe to go up to supply the exit signs and in the emergency light circuit. In the last video I removed all of these exit signs and emergency lights from some existing circuits and have them temporarily powered up from an extension cord. So today we need to finish off our splices to get them connected to our dedicated circuit. In the last video I installed this box, terminated 2 new breakers, and did some other terminations in the panel. So if you haven't watched the video from last week, I highly recommend you go watch that video so this one makes sense. Anyways, let's get started with part 2 and get into the video. So let's get started by pulling our new 120 volt supply to the panel, which will be 3 conductors: ground, neutral, and hot. These are going to be 12 gauge since that's what I have on hand, but this only needs to be 14 gauge since it's only on a 15 amp circuit. I'm going to open up our fire alarm panel. I'm going to push our wire through. So now I only have one connection in this pipe, or 2 pipes put together, so I doubt I'll need to fish this. I can probably just push our wires through the pipe. So now that our wire's pulled, we're going to undo our old terminations at the fire alarm panel and re-terminate the panel with our new conductors that we have brought into the panel. So, to get started, we're going to turn off the old breaker. And ground. Pull them out. Those can sit like that. I just want to get these new ones on quickly so I can have power back onto the panel soon, because this panel will spend a lot of time off today, so I want to keep those batteries nice and charged up. Power supply is re-terminated with our new wire. Now we just have to splice this up here and then we can power on the new breaker. Okay, our fire alarm panel here is spliced, so let's turn on the breaker and see if it blows up or anything crazy. Nope, looks good to me. So we'll come back and rip that stuff out later, but let's get to our emergency lighting conduit we have to install now. There's my new PVC conduit, and now I know it doesn't look like PVC conduit, and that's the whole point. I painted it with a metallic metal paint, so to get it as similar looking as the EMT as I could, to go over and around there. Where it's not a complete system, but it doesn't have to be. It's not really there for mechanical damage since it doesn't have to be. Being it's over 1.5 meters is really just to make it look better. So I'm going to put our Lumex through there, and then we'll make our splices in this box here. Emergency lights are spliced. We can hit the circuit breaker on. That's the way it's supposed to go. No explosions, no breaker blowback on you, no arc flash and die. Life is good. Well guys, there is the finished product with the new conduit. So there's going up over to the exit sign right here, and then as you can see, the conduit for the fire alarm panel worked out really well. I thought I was going to have to do a whole bunch more bends and offsets, but it happened to line up just with the knockouts, because I couldn't have right there quite flush against the wall because it had to go around the other pipes, but it ended up being completely straight with the fire alarm panel. So all I had to do was do a 90 there and a box offset over there, and that worked out good. I think this looks very industrial in this corner, which I'm actually starting to like. The more conduit in this corner. I don't like conduit all over the place, but when it's just in a corner like this, like my sort of electrical section, I like the look of it. I think it looks pretty industrial, so I'm good with it like this. But we're not done yet. We still have to remove the BX going into the fire alarm panel and relabel these circuits, so every exit sign as well as the fire alarm panel. I just finished relabeling everything, so I'm going to show you all my new labels. First, on the fire alarm panel itself, we have panel D, circuit 23. And if we go to our electrical panel, we can see circuit 23 is fire alarm panel, and we have some red paint on there, which is a requirement. You have to have your breaker marked in red if it's feeding a fire alarm panel. So as you can see on our, whatever you'd call this, our map of the panel, I guess, sort of thing, we have fire alarm panel 23, do not turn off. So I made it quite clear that that's the fire alarm panel, so don't turn that off. And then on our emergency lights, I have relabeled them too, as you can see, D, CCT, or circuit 21. Next thing we're going to do is remove this old BX from the fire alarm panel. So we're going to start by opening this up. And again, I gotta say this every time, I'm sure it's just as annoying for you guys. I'm going into this live, but that doesn't mean that you should too. It is dangerous, so avoid doing that. Or I should say it can be dangerous. Doesn't necessarily mean it is, because you can also be shocked just from unplugging something. So, kind of always a danger, but just right now I'm pretty safe because everything's insulated in here. So now I'm going to turn off the breaker for this one, since there's really no point of it being on. Lots of times I'll do stuff live just because I don't want to turn stuff off, but there's really nothing important on this circuit that I care if the power gets turned off to it. Now to confirm that is dead, That's all dead. Not that you should necessarily trust those things, but so now that that BX has been removed, there's an open knockout which we need to fill with one of these knockout fillers. These will just push in and plug into the hole. There we go. I just removed my anti-short because I'm going to keep that if I ever need one again. Now up in the fire alarm panel, we can remove our BX in here. But first, we're going to turn on the circuit breaker. And then put our cover plate back on. Knockout filler has been installed underneath the fire alarm panel. So now the only thing left to do with our dedicated circuit for emergency lights will be getting these guys on dedicated circuits. So there's 3 of them that are still on an existing circuit. That one that I just showed you, this one right here, and then this one over my head in the washer. So all of these we still need to get on their dedicated circuit, but I might just do that off camera since it's basically the same thing as I showed in part 1 with just changing things out, ripping them out of an existing power source and then bringing Lumex over in some way to these ones over here. So that's about it for this video though. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.